I had no choice because my parents are both musicians. My father is a violinist at it's called the Central Philharmonic. Now it's a national orchestra. So he's a violinist there. And my mother was a pianist in the Central Philharmonic. She accompanied all the great singers and soloists. By the way, she was a graduate of the Shanghai Conservatory, Wu Wenjun. So they play music all the time at home. So I picked it up, easily. But they never wanted me to be a professional musician. Just that when we were young, we had nothing to do. Not so many toys to play around. No iPad, no computer, no movies. So this is just a way to kill time. So my mother taught me for 4 years. I stopped listening to her because I was rebellious. I wanted to learn to play soccer. My mother almost gave up. She thought that if I didn't like piano, why force me to do it? So I should play soccer. But my father thought that I had talent in music and I loved music, which was true. I only didn't want to practice, like many kids. So, not loving music and not liking to practice, they're two separate things. So my father saw it very, clearly at the time. So he made a deal with me. He said that, why don't we do this? Every day after you practice for an hour and a half, you can go play soccer as much as you want. So I thought that was okay. So I continued with piano, and by age 11, my mother found me another teacher, Li Xifang. Uh, she was a very strict teacher, Shanghai trained, very serious and severe at the time. At times, in terms of finger exercises. Sometimes I even cried in lessons, but my technique got so much better. And then I got into the Central Conservatory, studying with Li Huili, another Shanghai trained teacher. By the way, the Shanghai Conservatory teachers, they call me a Shanghai trained pianist in Beijing because all my teachers in China were trained and graduated from the Shanghai Conservatory. So I guess I got the best part from both cities. The grandeur style of Beijing and the detailed touches of the Shanghai Conservatory. After Li Huili for 3 years, I studied with Zhou Guangren. It's a big professor and very influential professor for the piano in China. After that, I went to Manhattan School of Music, studying with Solomon Mikulski, who was also a teacher of Simone Dinnerstein. I was with Solomon for 6 years, graduated in Manhattan School with my master's degree. Solomon is a big influence on me. Even now, we have emails exchanges very often about many things, but mostly about music. I think he really brought the best part of me, which is sensitive, colorful, charismatic. That part of me, I think, is my true self. A lot of my personality or musicality is in sync with his musical sensitivity. So we got along very well musically. I think in 1997, I was in Van Cliburn competition. I was in the first round. I didn't make to the second round. One of the reviewers says that Yuan Sheng is a master in miniature. So, which is, it's a compliment and it's also a criticism at the same time. And not only this reviewer said the same thing, but many people says the same thing, criticizes of my playing. Solomon also said that I was a great player playing smaller pieces, but had problem managing bigger structure like a sonata or a concerto. That made me think. That also prompted me to study with Rosalind Turek. I met her in a master class. I played for her twice in two different master classes, back to back. I thought she had the intellectuality and especially her insight in Bach, what I needed at the time. And Solomon, supported the idea that I should study with her for a few years, which I did. So for about 2.5 years, I studied with Rosalind Turek, concentrating on Bach. For that time, I guess I was about 27 to 30, that age. I did not perform very much, and I didn't learn anything else or didn't play anything else other than Bach. I started with a little, minuet like this. Yeah. And little by little, I got into two-part inventions, a little suite by Bach, and then got into a partita number 3, Italian concerto, and another concerto in G minor, prelude and fugues. This Bach playing, I think, changed my playing and my way of approaching music in general. And I remember Turek, my last lesson with her, she was very unhappy because, we worked on the Italian concertos many times. And I by instinct, still, I made a crescendo somewhere in the first movement that she was very unhappy. She's very, severe, sometimes can be a little frightening. She took my music, she threw it on the piano. I'm happy that she didn't throw it on the floor. So she threw it on the piano. She said that, that's it. She said that I know that you have good instinct, but then she said that only playing with instinct is not enough. She said that I can sense you have something against intellectuality. You think that if you have more mind, you will lose your heart. She said, on the contrary, the more you think, the more you will understand it. The more you understand the music, the more you will have, the more feeling you will have with the music. It's like a revelation, because I had always been a intuitive player, playing with instinct. And back in my mind, I always thought that if one thinks so much, one would lose musicality. What she said really solved this mental problem. This philosophy in me, so that from then on, I started to learn to be a thinker, while still be a natural player at the same time.